I am making this video on December 30th, which means it is almost the end of 2021, and today I'm going to look back over my dividend growth portfolio progress for the past year. I'll be showing you some interesting comparisons for how my portfolio has changed from year to year, what I bought since my last video, which of my stocks have raised their dividends, how much I earn in dividends, my future plans for my portfolio, and my progress toward my investment goals. I'm going to show you the enormous growth of my $638,000 investment portfolio. I've hit several massive milestones which I'm excited to share with you. I'm honestly shocked, though pleasantly so, with how well my portfolio has performed and grown. I hope this video will give you some ideas to consider and provide some motivation for your own dividend growth journey. Charting my journey like this has been really fun and exciting, and I encourage anyone who's watching to keep track of your progress through whatever means you find are the most fun as well. To start off, I would like to list off my major milestones for the year. The most important is unrelated to investing, and that is the birth of my son. He's a big reason for my decision to put off making videos for this channel. He's also my reason for creating a new investment account, which I will discuss later in this video. In my last video last year, I mentioned that for the first time in my portfolio's lifetime, I had a stock position worth over $20,000. In fact, at that time I had three: AbbVie, Prudential, and Energy Transfer, which had just crossed the $20,000 threshold. 1 year later, and I have doubled that number from 3 to 6 stocks, which are worth more than $20,000. Furthermore, my Prudential holding is now worth more than $30,000 and is at $36,115. My AbbVie holding has done even better. It is my first stock to break the $40,000 mark. It is now worth $48,198. This means I'm very close to also hitting $50,000 for a single stock for the first time. I was shocked to have a stock over $20,000 last year, and I'm even more so to see one almost touching $50,000. This time last year, my AbbVie investment was only worth $21,000 as a point of comparison. In past videos, you might also remember that my first job was working at an ice cream shop at 16 years old and making minimum wage. At that time in California, this was $6.75 per hour. Take a look at the chart below. It shows how much I receive in dividends now per year. I have surpassed $15,000 annually, which is a huge hurdle for me. Below you can see that I earn $42 per day, every day, 365 days per year, which amounts to $1.76 for every hour of the year and 3 cents for every minute. However, on the bottom row, I calculated how much I would be earning if dividend earning was a 40-hour per week job. If I was only earning dividends for 8 hours per day and 5 days per week, like a job at an ice cream shop might be, I would be earning $7.40 an hour. I'm officially making more in dividends doing nothing than I did at my first job. While it might not seem like much to many, to me this is a pretty cool landmark to hit. As of the making of this video, federal minimum wage is $7.25, which means my dividend portfolio has surpassed this as well. If you've watched my videos in the past, you know that I love to compare my current dividend income to the median household income in other countries. It is my way of saying, if I want to live like the locals on only my dividend income, which countries could I live in today and never work another day of my life? I have on the screen a list of the median household incomes for most of the world's countries. If you want to use the website that I got this from, the link is in the description below. Last year, I was excited to announce my dividend income had reached the median income of Lithuania and Hungary. This year, my annual dividend income has grown from a little over $12,000 from the end of last year to $15,397 at the end of 2021. Let's see what that means for us. I have a map I created using mapchart.net, which shows all the countries in the world I can retire to today using only my dividends if I lived the quality of life of the locals or higher. The countries in red are those I can retire to today. As you can see, there is a great deal of red across this global map. Those in grayish are my future goals. Let's zoom in to see the countries we can retire to as of now. Based on my dividend income growth, I can now retire in Estonia, shown here, Lebanon, found here, Argentina here, Belarus over here, and nearby Poland is now off my list. Also, please bear in mind that the $15,397 which I am forecasting using the Div Tracker app is not including special dividends. I own OMF and Maine, which both often pay special dividends, which means my annual dividend income may actually be quite a bit more than this. At the very least, I'm very excited to be able to add these countries to my list of places I can retire to. In prior videos, I have also compared my dividends to my current living expenses. If you live in the US and have been tracking your expenses over the past year, you know inflation is real. Unfortunately, this means that as my dividend income increased over the past year, so did inflation. Further adding to this is the birth of my son. This increases food, nanny, and miscellaneous expenses such as diapers. As a result, my progress toward financial freedom actually declined over the past year. Let's take a look at where I am now. This is a new chart I created to demonstrate my expenses. The inner ring are my expenses. It shows $150 for electricity in blue, $100 for water in red, $33 for car insurance, $30 for gasoline, $150 for TV and internet, $68 for my phone, $60 for natural gas, $100 for miscellaneous baby items like diapers, $800 for ridiculously priced groceries, including the baby's food, $480 for a nanny, and $900 for mortgage. On the outer ring, we have how much of this my dividends can currently cover. You can see that the blue ring is the amount I am currently receiving in dividends, which is at 44% of my monthly expenses. That leaves 56% in red unpaid. Let's take a look at my $638,000 portfolio to see where the money is allocated. Currently, my dividend growth portfolio is worth $350,615.69. For comparison, last year my portfolio was worth $199,680. In addition, I have my retirement account. My retirement account is entirely in VIIIX. What is VIIIX, you might ask? VIIIX is the Vanguard Institutional Index Mutual Fund Institutional Plus class. If you are familiar with VU or SPY, which are S&P 500 Index Fund ETFs, this is Vanguard's mutual fund equivalent. VIX is an S&P 500 mutual fund. VIX has an expense ratio of 0.02%, which is quite favorable compared to many mutual funds. My VIX is worth $260,535. Last year, I only had $173,000 in this fund. This gives me great diversification and exposure to 500 of the biggest and most successful companies in the world. Next, we have my growth portfolio. As I've mentioned in prior videos, my growth portfolio is my investment portfolio, which does not pay dividends and is focused on growth-oriented tech companies. Because my overall investment strategy focuses on dividends, this is quite small. At the end of last year, I had $12,471 invested in my growth portfolio. Today, my growth portfolio is worth $20,400. This is made up of Amazon, Netflix, Facebook, Google, and QQQ. One thing to keep in mind, however, is that because I own over $260,000 of VIX, I already have a decent exposure to big tech companies, or the FANG stocks as they're often called. I have $5,255 in cash in my investing portfolio waiting to be deployed. $2,000 of this will likely be going to my infant son's Roth IRA. This will give him a strong start right out of the gate. My dream is that he withdraw this money 65 years from now when he's ready to retire. Even a smaller amount like $2,000 could become quite substantial after 65 years of tax-free compounding. I plan to evenly divide that $2,000 between QQQ and VU. Last but not least, my son also has his own brokerage account. When he was born, family and friends sent him about $800 in gift money. Rather than use it for food, diapers, or toys, I invested it in his own brokerage account. I hope to instill in him a love of finance and investing, and I want to get him started off right. I have many plans for how I hope to achieve this, but part of it was investing in companies I believe he will like someday. Although he doesn't know it yet, he invested in Domino's Pizza, Netflix, Google, Hasbro, the toy maker, Facebook, Amazon, and Activision, the video game developer. My cousin also bought him some GTY Technology Holdings, although it is unclear to all but my cousin why a young child would be interested in cloud-based solutions used by government technology companies to further the public sector. In any case, over the past several months, his portfolio has grown from $800 to $865. Less than a year old, but already making a profit. I told him 8% for less than a year is not bad, especially for a baby. Announcing my $385,000 investment portfolio. 1 year before that, at the end of 2019, my total portfolio value was $250,000. I remember celebrating and thinking it was incredible because I had only had $123,000 at the end of 2018. I could not believe my portfolio had doubled by increasing by $127,000. In 2020, despite the recession and global crisis, my portfolio grew by $135,000 for the year, an even bigger increase than before. This year, it grew even faster. My growth from $385,000 to $638,000 represents a $253,000 increase in a single year. I never would have imagined growing by over $250,000 in just 1 year. 1 month from today, my portfolio will turn 4 years old. This chart has my dividend growth portfolio plan I made 4 years ago. My goal was to be receiving $2,000 per month in dividend income by the age of 40, which would be year 9. My initial plan was to try to increase my dividend income by $200 per month each year, which later increased to $250 per month each year. At the end of my first year, in 2018, I was receiving $228.67 per month on average. My goal was achieved. For 2019, I hope to be making $400 per month by the end of the year. I finished making $558.58. Now, based on my original plan, the end of 2020 should have given me $600 per month in dividend income. However, I had done so well in 2019, I decided to increase my goal to $800 per month. By the end of 2021, my dividend income was on average over $1,000 per month. In my last video, I mentioned that my goal for 2021 was to increase my dividend income by $250 per month, which would give me $1,250 per month in dividends. This would allow me to remain 2 years ahead of schedule for my plan to hit $2,000 per year. My current dividend income at the end of 2021, without considering special dividends, is $1,283.08. I somehow made it, just barely sliding in ahead of my goal. Here I am showing you my current allocation for my dividend growth portfolio. On the left, I have the sector breakdown of my portfolio from last year at the end of 2020. On the right, we have the sectors up for my portfolio as it currently stands. The two biggest differences are that the real estate and energy reduced in terms of the overall size, while financials and healthcare grew. I can assure you the reason for this is not based on my opinion of the energy and real estate sectors. Rather, at my last meeting with my tax accountant, I was told that with larger qualified dividend payments, I would reduce my overall tax burden. Because REITs and MLPs generally do not pay qualified dividends, I began moving away from those into sectors which paid good qualified dividends. I hope to continue to diversify as time goes on and other sectors go on sale. As you may recall from my last video, I have been working on reducing my number of holdings in my portfolio. I want fewer and higher quality holdings. Last year, I cut my portfolio from 31 positions down to 26. At the close of this year, I am down to 23 positions. This is primarily from selling my REITs to focus on qualified dividends for those tax reasons already mentioned. A goal I have had for several years, and which I discussed in my last year's video, is to steadily decrease my overall dividend yield for my dividend portfolio. Although I tend towards higher yields because I'm focused on building a big income quickly, I want more stability and security, which comes from focusing on lower yields and higher growth as well. At the end of 2018, my dividend yield was 7.55%. At the end of 2019, it was 6.4%. At the end of last year, it was 6.08%. My goal for 2021 was to get this close to 5%. As of today, the overall dividend yield for my portfolio is 4.65%, exceeding my goal. Over the last year, I have bought L3Harris Technologies, Lockheed Martin, QQQ, AbbVie, Bristol Myers Squibb, One Main Holdings, LYB, and JP Morgan. I will be watching to see how the economy and market shift over 2022 and focus on buying quality dividend growth companies which I see as fairly or undervalued. I will again be primarily focusing on companies which pay a qualified dividend. So let's summarize my goals I set last year and the progress towards them. Last year I wanted to earn $1,250 per month on average in dividends. I accomplished this goal. I plan to reduce my dividend yield to around 5% and I surpassed that goal. I also plan to diversify further outside the financial and energy sectors. I would consider this one partially achieved. While my energy sector allocation decreased, my financial sector did not. I did have some growth in the healthcare and industrial sectors, so I'll give myself a check, but this is not so clearly a mission accomplished. For next year, I hope to keep my dividend yield somewhere between 4 and 4.5%. I hope to increase my annual dividend income by an average of $250 per month. This means I'll be earning $1,500 per month in dividends, or around $18,000 per year. This would also allow me to check Portugal, Croatia, Slovakia, and Greece off my countries list. It would also mean that, on average, for the first time, I would be earning more than $2 in dividends per hour, 24 hours per day, 365 days per year. I again hope to further diversify my portfolio in terms of sector. And last, I would like my dividends to cover all the expenses they currently cover, in addition to fully covering groceries. If you want to learn more about dividend investing, track your own dividends, or follow along with my dividend portfolio, keep watching for future videos. What are your dividend goals for 2022? Leave your goals in the comments on this video. And as always, good luck with your investing.